So, let's get started with our topic today, which are some spring tips and ideas if you are ready to start planning your next homeschool year, or at least in the early stage of it. Um, I think most of us probably start getting that bug time of year. Um, that urge, the school year, we can kind of see the end of it, and we've done our current curriculum for a lot of months now, and we're ready to do something new. So this time of year, I usually start doing some planning, but I don't really kick it off until usually not for another month or so. But I know some of you are on the ball, and I always laugh when people, have their new curriculum already decided and purchased by this time of year. I think it's just not me. Hats off to those of you who can do it, but I'll still be deciding some of those last details in August. Well, to be honest, this year there's still a few that I'm like, what are we going to do next month? But that's me. So my first thing that I think that everyone needs to do, regardless of how long you've been homeschooling, and that is update your whys. Why are you homeschooling? What is keeping you homeschooling right now? If you are new to homeschooling, why have you made that decision? If you're not new to homeschooling, why are you continuing to homeschool? What about the homeschool life is keeping you there? And I think this has to change. You need to update these every year. And as your first thing, before you start doing anything else with planning, because you need to know your whys. And when you identify those, it's going to help guide you with your curriculum choices. One of the things that I've really realized this year is how much I'm trying to keep those last moments of childhood. My daughter is a junior, my boys are 7th grade and 5th grade, and it is slipping through my fingers. And so this year I've really tried to do that. Well, part of that for me is keeping the true enjoyment, less worrying about what things get crossed off and more about what experiences do we have together? What are they learning on their own? What are they discovering? What are we discovering together? So with that as a goal or a why, I'm not going to choose some curriculum that is very workbook independent, go complete it type of curriculum, because that's not what I want. Part of my why is those moments together. However, maybe your why is because the current middle school is terrible and you don't want to do that, but you really want to set them up for success in a great high school. And so your middle school curriculum would look very different than what I'm choosing, because you know that you're transitioning to public school, you need it to be a strong, rigorous program to get them into, maybe a magnet school or private school, whatever it is you're going for, you've got that with your mind. So whatever your why is, it's fine, but knowing your why is going to help you choose a curriculum that will fit your goals. Let's see. Oh, and on the whys, I have, again, this will be down in the down bar, I have a couple freebies that I've created before they go along with, I think 3 of my things I'm going to talk about. All of those will be down in there. And so one of those is a sheet to talk about your whys. Nope. Sorry. One of these days I'm going to get the tech down. I feel like some weeks I need someone to run the tech for me while I'm chatting. Next one is to think about, there's some questions, again, in a freebie, that I like to go over every year before I even start shopping. Before I take a single look at things, yeah, in theory, I like to go through this. And this is actually going to be Saturday's video. So you're going to see me talking about it there. I'm going to give you a sneak peek and go ahead and give you that link today. But I don't have the questions. Anyway, the questions are things like, what went well this year? What big changes do you have next year that might affect what your homeschool days look like a move? Maybe only some of your children currently homeschool and maybe everyone is next year, or the reverse. Anything that's going to affect your schedule and what kind of availability you have, those are things to consider before you even start shopping. I also like to think about things like what didn't get done this year with your curriculum, or in your homeschool day. Was there something that you were continually behind on, continually not getting done for whatever reason? Think about that and think about why. So you guys know that I am not good at follow through with projects. I have said that many, many times. Elemental science, I have tried twice now to really love it because I love the idea behind it. And I use Noio successfully, which Noio and Elemental are very similar, but Elemental and I just do not get along for whatever, and I can't place my finger on it exactly, but I don't do well when I use it. And so when I've tried, it has consistently not gotten done because I'm avoiding it. So I don't want to keep doing it. Even if they had a perfect curriculum, I'm not going to order it again. Twice, I'm done. There's something about the layout of the teacher guide and whatever. I just cannot. I can't figure it out, like what the problem with it is. So for me, that's something that isn't getting done. Not this year, but this year, something that didn't get done well was the forensic science that I put together back in the fall, and it didn't get done well because, two things. One, with the projects, I had intended to have all the supplies beforehand, and I didn't get that done. So that always just put me behind. The second reason was because I didn't get the full semester planned. We got through about half the semester, which is what I finished, or what I had planned. And then after that, it was just hit or miss. Because again, I didn't get it planned. So knowing that about myself, this year, I set myself up for failure, honestly, because I put completely together both our science and our history. And I know that's not going to go well. I know it's not. So next year, we're doing simpler science. It's textbook CPO science. I don't have to put together much other than some activities. And I'm just going to buy one of the Janice Von Cleve books. I don't have one over here. Janice Von Cleve has a whole series of books that have good basic projects in them for kids, science activities. So I'm just going to grab one of those to go with, I think we're doing earth science. And then that's what we're going to do. I'm going to keep it much simpler next year for that. So all of that to say, evaluating what went well this year, what didn't go well, what's going to change next year is going to help you before you start shopping, because you know that you have to adapt for those things. Several years ago, when there was one school year that we were moving in September. Why did we have to move in September? I don't know, but that's when we were moving. And so I knew we were going to start our school, and then once we moved, we were going on vacation, just to make things a little more complicated. So I knew that. So we started that summer, but that summer we were on the go a lot. And my husband was gone most of the summer. So I needed very straightforward things. So a lot of what we used that year, for the first set of the year at least, was the Christian Light Education workbook things because kids could do them in the car. They didn't need much help from me on those things. And that worked until we got settled. So, for an example of something, your schedule that's going to affect curriculum choices, that's what. I I really wanted to love elemental, and I'm glad you are, Leslie, because I think it's a fantastic program. We did a little more success with their earth science one. I don't know. We were in Georgia, so however many years ago that was. Elizabeth was in 6th grade. And I had decent success with it, but I still struggled in parts. Then I don't remember when, one of these years since we've been here, we tried the chemistry. And yeah, I can't make it work. I don't know why, but I think it's a great program. I just can't do it. So I keep recommending it to people with the caveat that for me, not a great fit. Oh, that's a good question. I am absolutely not in the camp of everything has to be finished. I do want to make sure there is mastery in what we've done, if it's something like math. Otherwise, if every book on our reading list didn't get read, it's okay. If we didn't get to that last couple of chapters in history, it's okay. I remember in elementary or middle school, I guess we were doing U.S. history. I don't even know, 8th grade. I could see the classroom, but I can't tell you what. We must have been doing U.S. history. Anyway, we got through this. Yes, we were, because we got through the Civil War, and then we jumped to World War II, and that was all we did. That was our second semester, was Civil War and World War II. Oh, and then a bit of Cold War, because then we were still at the end of the Cold War. But that's all we did. And so I figured if schools aren't producing, aren't requiring that, why am I holding myself to that level? But with something like math, I do think, specifically for middle school, high school levels, I don't worry so much about it in the elementary, but specifically for those levels, I would want to make sure that the things they need to know before they progress to the next year, that they've had a mastery of. Now, if, like when my daughter did pre-algebra, we didn't get some of the last chapters done, but instead I just had her do some, pick random problems and made sure that she had a good understanding, not necessarily 100%, but just kind of an 80% level understanding of those things, because I knew they would be covered in her algebra class. If she did, we counted it and we moved on. And I start doing something like that now. Like if I see now that we are not going to make it to the end, I start picking and choosing whatever the subject is, what things I want to cover, prioritize what gets done, if we're running behind. I think for us, that's what has worked. The only thing I don't feel guilty checking. Yeah. Yes, I think, with elementary level math, I think that it's less of a problem if you've gotten most of the year done, because there's so much review. Schools it's built into the curriculum that there's review. And at the beginning of every school year, we try to do some kind of review from the last school year, for math. So it might be like we just play some math games. Maybe I pick random problems from last year It looks different every year, but I find that a really good way to, one, build confidence at the beginning of the year when kids, like, all of a sudden they're like, "I don't even remember what 2 plus 2 is." Like, just that summer memory erase. I think it's a good way to build confidence, and it's all and just, like, get back into the habit of it. Do a little review, and then jump into the curriculum. Um Geometry, I was scared of geometry. This was the only subject from the beginning of our homeschool that I was like, I am not gonna teach geometry because I had a horrible experience with it in high school. I was not good at geometry. I will say that that year was kind of a rough year in general anyway, but it was bad. So when my daughter started it, I was like, "Oh," and she did fine. Um, my the math that we did not do proofs, or not very many. Like, she took them in the book through a few proofs, but not she wanted them to know how to do it, like, haven't been exposed to it, but she didn't wanna like that to be the full of it. If you have a kiddo who struggles with that kind of logic thinking, I would look for a geometry that is not heavy on proofs. That would be my biggest thing, unless you're really good at that kind of thing. I am not. That's what geometry and I did poorly together. Um, and so that's my biggest thing, is that I would suggest looking for one that is not heavy on proofs. Um, we purposefully, my I kind of keep 180 days in mind for our homeschool year, roughly, but plan curriculum for about 160 days. And with the breaks and with this and that and days we get behind or whatever, it works out. And yeah, if if high school, if in public schools, sorry, aren't getting it all done, well, then I don't feel like I mean, personally, I want to, set high expectations, but I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I would love to know what you don't like about Jacobs, Leslie. I'm not considering it, but no, I think for Forrester, I think is what we have vote for pre-algebra. But I hear such good things about Jacobs, so I'd love to know what you don't care for. I'm still hoping that I can make outsourcing work for Ben, but I'm a little concerned um, because I treat him like he has dysgraphia. I don't know. He doesn't have an official diagnosis, but it may create problems with turning in homework and such. So we'll see. Um, since you have mentioned that one a few weeks ago, Angel, I have seen so many people talking about it, and it's on my list, legit. Like, I've got a post-it note here of things that you guys talk about, and I keep a running post-it note list of things to check out, and it's on my list, but I haven't gotten to it yet. Let's see. Um, I can't say that I'm a big fan of teaching textbooks, but for something like geometry, I might consider it because I think it's straightforward enough. And so, yeah, because one of the things I don't love about teaching textbooks is it's just kind of algorithmic, and I like developing more of a number sense. But I think with geometry, it's not that same number sense that you get with algebra and addition and all of those things. So yeah, teaching textbooks can be a good option. And then I see this. um, yeah, teaching textbooks seems to have like you either love it or you hate it. I had gotten a free copy of it um, to try out for a review, and it was fine, but I didn't really fall into either camp of love or hate. But my Matthew, we used it. I tried it with him, um, and he's just like, I'd rather. He's like, I'd rather have a little more challenge and the why behind it. But I think teaching textbooks is it's a there's nothing wrong with it if it fits your family. It's just for us, it's not um, a great one. Um, Thank you. I realized that we didn't. I wanted to capture more of the um, tour and such, but we were in a group. We didn't. I didn't. We didn't realize it was a group tour, and so I felt weird. One, I wanted to make sure I didn't capture other people. Two, it just felt weird. Like I didn't want to feel like some YouTuber videoing it all. So, whereas if it had been, you know, just ourselves, I could have said, it's just for my husband or family, whatever. But yeah, I felt weird. So, um, I think next month we're going for another one. Um, Jacob's is so heavy conceptual. Oh, oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard people mention that before. Um, but I had a similar feel with art of problem solving, their high school. We absolutely adore Beast Academy. But their high school, often I felt that way. So that's good to know because if I do have to do math at home with Ben, Jacobs was on my list to consider, and that would not go well with him. um, so yeah, that's good information about that. Um, I would love for you to share it, Claudia. If you drop the link in the comments right now, and then I will put it in the description bar later, because these comments don't show up in the replay. So I would love for you to share it. Yeah, drop it in there. Um, okay, I'll talk about a couple more things, and then we'll come back and do some more chatting. Next one, if you are looking for like I said, I need help with my tech. If you are looking for curriculum ideas and you don't know where to, maybe if you're new to homeschooling, I know those of you who are in the chat right now are not, but if you're watching this on replay and you're new to homeschooling, you don't know where to start, or you're not new, but you need something different. I did a series a couple of years ago that was really popular where for each subject, I gave you just 5 ideas and I tried to make them kind of a variety of styles and approaches. Um, so that playlist again will be linked down there. I think it's sometimes I need a starting point, and maybe I'll take an idea from there. If someone gives me a list, gathering suggestions, but maybe I don't. But what I learn by looking at those are help me to find what I do need. So if you are just needing a place, a starting point, check all those out. I have them for all the main subjects. And I think I have them for online classes as well. I will check because if not, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do and I may just end up doing an updated one. Um, anyway, so I don't know. In the next month, I'll put out one about if you're looking to do any online classes. So if you want to start shopping, but you don't know where to start with, check out that series, and yeah, it'll give you a starting point, because as much as I love sites like Kathy Duffy, it is overwhelming when you go over there. Like, even all these years into homeschooling, she gives very thorough, good reviews, but there's a lot in each review, and then she just has so many reviews on her website. And I love getting ideas also from other bloggers and YouTubers, but often I know that they're affiliates, and I know that can affect opinions for some. And so I tend to take those carefully, unless I know that they are not an affiliate for whatever curriculum they are talking about. And I'll say this, in case you're wondering, then, well, what about you? I am not an affiliate for any curriculum. If I ever am one, I always mention it. I have, from the beginning, made it a point to be as clear about that as I can, and make sure that when I'm talking about curriculum, I tell you the things I like and the things I don't like, and take an honest approach. And that is why I did not do a review with teaching textbooks when I got the free copy, because it's kind of expected, at least in the blogging homeschool world, that if you are given a free copy, for example, that you give a positive review. And if you don't have a positive review, they don't want you. They'd rather you just keep the product for free and not put it out there. And so at the time, I didn't do that, because I didn't like it, but I knew that was the expectation. So I actually returned it to the company. Completely take it away. I don't want any record of it. So that if I had wanted to, I could have done a more honest review. We didn't use it long enough that I felt like I could give a thorough review. Anyway, that's all a sidetrack to say that when you are looking at curriculum, if you see the same curriculum at a lot of on a lot of homeschool blogs, or one blog just keeps talking about one curriculum, be judicious in how you take their opinion. That's not to say that people are purposely lying or anything. I don't mean that. I'm just saying that I didn't know that before I agreed to do, get teaching textbooks for a review. I had no idea that was kind of the expectation in the world. So it was a learning curve for me. So yeah, all it's to say, just be judicious, be wise. The fourth thing that I was thinking to mention was, if you have a kiddo going into high school or into middle school even, or maybe you've done 9th grade but haven't progressed further than that yet, I think there is value at this point in creating a rough, in pencil, plan of the rest of your homeschool. And this is another one I have a link for. This is what I just have. I lost bins, so I have to redo it. But I just have the grades across the top and subjects down the side. And it might seem ridiculous to start this with middle school, but for one, at 8th grade, you may be taking some high school level courses. The other thing is that it helped, when I did this for Elizabeth, it helped me to think about what she was going to do in high school and what that meant I needed to do in middle school. But I have I have a planner that starts with 6th grade and then one that starts with 9th grade, so you can plan out either one of them. but do it in pencil because things are going to change. But starting to fill this in now is going to help you see what you might want to do. It'll help you keep some variety because you're seeing kind of how things lay out. And I do it with, I don't know how I feel in curriculum, but like what I want them to study. So for literature next year, starting next year, for Ben, PBS has a list called 100 Great America Reads. I talked about this recently in another live, but those posters right there come from the America Reads, from the series. But there's 100 books that like people have voted are like the best in American literature. We're going to use that for starting in 8th grade. Not all of them, because there's like 50 Shades of Grey on there. I'm not doing that with my 8th grader, but or any kid, to be clear. But anyway, so I just have like that on there for it. 8th and 9th grade, it'll probably take them longer than that, but I'm sure it will. But starting to fill in there. I know that we'll do analytical grammar, so I filled those in. But otherwise, like it may just be like 10th grade, I'm going to do some kind of British literature, for example, or world literature. So just to start getting a rough idea of what's going to happen. For social studies, generally you want to do a world history and a U.S. history, a government semester, geography semester-ish. So you can start filling those things in and just kind of getting an idea to keep in mind what it is you need to do with a long-term goal of doing that. And if you don't know, if you have not yet investigated like what you need for high school or whatever, what we decided to do was to look at kind of the general requirements, entrance requirements for colleges, and build off of that. Figured that was just an easy way to do it. And in this planner pack, I do have credits listed, so you can use that and kind of let yourself guide from there. Woo! You guys are chatty. Awesome. All 3 of your girls are at Cornell. Very well done, Claudia. Interesting. Yeah, I'd love to see your video. So definitely, that's great. I think that was exactly what I was going to say when I got to the last of it. I think it would be so much fun to do it, homeschool your kind of a second round with such a fresh perspective, because you've gotten your other kids into college. And so that gives you so much knowledge and kind of permission to relax and enjoy it so much. If I think about what I would do again, which actually would probably be a good video topic, I think, yeah, just so much less worry about checking off all the boxes and more enjoyment along the way. I have never. Does she have a podcast or videos from her channel? I have never. The only thing we've used from Simply Charlotte Mason are the Visit to Geography series, which I really enjoyed. Elizabeth used them. I think I'll probably have Ben do one next year, but yeah, I'd love to know if she has a podcast or what. One of my goals for this summer is to start listening to more homeschool podcasts. I don't. Julie Bogart's really about the only homeschool podcast I listen to, and I just go in spurts with that. So I'd love to know if it's a podcast. I'd especially like to know, because I put it on my list of what to do. Yes, homeschool or high school or credit in 8th grade. My daughter did algebra, and then in Spanish, and her she took we for chemistry. We did chemistry in the kitchen from Guest Hollow, which is a high school curriculum, but we did it in 8th grade, and I considered giving credit as an elective for it. But I decided not to. But yeah, foreign language especially is a big one that people take in 8th grade that might carry over to high school credit. This is a really good topic, Angel, so I'm going to spend a little time on it because I came across an article, and I'll see if I can find it again. I know I've shared it on my page, but it was a while ago, about the rise in grade inflation among public schools and how much, it was a big jump in the average GPA for students. And the piece was arguing students didn't just get this much smarter over the span of time. It's A's are just given more freely. And so I was taught I think Elizabeth was a freshman when I came across this article, because my thought was I don't, specifically with grade inflation, if I give what I would consider a B, because I have with high standards, but in a public school, it would be A worthy. Am I putting her in a bad spot when she goes to compete for college and scholarships because other students are getting an A for the same work she was getting a B for? And so how do I reckon with that morally? But like you said, we focus on mastery, and we focus a lot on big picture and can you connect the dots? And yes, you may have missed this problem on this question in history, but can you place that same thing in a bigger perspective? And if you can, to me, that's worth more than if you had gotten it correct. So it's hard because I want to have strong standards, but I don't want to just put her at a disadvantage. But we also teach mastery. But colleges don't really know that unless it's a college that's expecting a homeschool philosophy. And I'm really hoping that nowhere she applies expects that. In which case you can include that and, lead that to the discussion of why you do that. And that's why your student has A's, so many A's. So long story short, like I said, I've got a lot to say about this topic, and I think it's a really good one that doesn't get enough discussion. But it's part of why I wanted to make sure that we did some outsourcing of classes so that schools know that it's not just me giving her an A. Legit, she's earned A's outsourced. She's also earned B's. Same at home. She's legit earned A's, and she's also earned some B's. So what the right answer is, I don't know. Do I feel bad about it? Sometimes. But not. I don't know. I really wish this topic was talked about more in homeschool circles, because I don't know. It's a good topic, but in perspective that A's are increasing in public schools too, makes me I have less guilt about it. Yes, you know what? You have mentioned that one before, and I will. On top of doing one about online courses. I should also do one more of just like a general high school one, because the ones I did were all elementary and middle school. And I'm going to write down Compass to include in my video about it. Thank you. As a mom who's already put her kids into college, thank you for saying that. Woo, okay, let's see. Glad to see you, Deborah. I don't know her. Amy Marion. I'm going to write her down so I can go check it out. Next year, we were just considering like what Liz was going to take. And I feel like I would like to do something like, I don't know exactly home ec, but kind of like life skills type of thing. So I'll check that out. Yeah, my daughter has commented that I'm so much more relaxed with Matthew than her, and there's only a 5-year difference between them. But yeah, I've told her, I said, there's advantages and disadvantages to no matter where you are in the birth order. But she definitely thinks that the young gets away with more than what she did. I have mostly just left this all up to Elizabeth. She took on this, spearheaded this, starting her freshman year. She uses the website College Board to get started, because you have all kinds of filters. Like you can put in what states you want, what sizes you want, majors, whether you want a school that's test optional as far as ACT, SAT goes, etc. And she's really just done most of the spearheading, and a lot of it is just like what appeals to her about a school, what doesn't. She knows that she wants to be near family, so that's kept her kind of around North Carolina-ish. She's looked in Tennessee. She has one in Kentucky and one in West Virginia on her list, and one in Virginia. And then the rest are near our family in Indiana. And it's hard to know like exactly what makes a school go on or off her list. A lot of it, sometimes I think it's just like mood. But she does a lot. She's been doing a lot of virtual tours, lots of YouTube videos on different schools. And at this point, once we start narrowing things down, and that I am kind of helping guide her on, a lot of it after application will come down to the financial side of it and what that looks like for each school. This is kind of a good reference. I think that kind of sums it up. I don't know if there are any schools I don't think there's anything on her school list right now that would be a reach. But she has a couple that dream schools more financially. She has a couple state schools that are on her list. The one in Kentucky, Moorhead, and UNC Asheville are both on that list for just solid state schools, like you said. And we're kind of applying those as also a safety school. I did not know until we started this that some state schools are super selective. Like I'm from Indiana, and kind of our two big ones, Indiana, IU, and Purdue, both have high acceptance rates. And then there are several that are not what I would say are junior college, but are more like mostly 2-year degree type things that have even higher acceptance rates. Here, UNC, which is one of the big state schools, and NC State, both have acceptance rates that are in like the 25%. I had no idea. I just assumed that most state schools had high acceptance rates. So wherever you are, um, I would say to make sure you kind of investigate that um, before your junior year. Um, oh, do, 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 do. Um, yeah, standardized tests are one reason that we're keep she's prioritizing schools that are test optional. She worked so hard to prepare for the ACT, but it her score didn't reflect that. Just not just a hard way for her to take tests. So yeah, and extracurriculars present another problem this year for like kids who are juniors now and seniors because COVID really um, really threw a monkey wrench in those kind of things. Um, so yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, she on College Board, and I've seen other lists too, have a whole thing of like one of the filters is ones that are not requiring tests. Um, there are a lot of schools that started this year, like for this year's seniors, to be test optional who have decided to go test optional permanently, which I think it's good. The one we went to this weekend was test optional, so you can. What they said was that if you have strong scores, submit them because it will make your application stronger. If you don't have strong scores, find other ways to make your application stronger. So I appreciated the honesty in that. um, so um, so consider that. Um, if you have a kiddo who doesn't do fantastic with tests, um, test optional schools may be a thing. It'll be interesting to see um, how many schools end up taking that as a permanent stance and focusing more on the less on that and more on the whole picture. Um, let's see. That's what we took, and no, in our case it wasn't. But I think the ACT. I prefer the ACT because I think it gives a broader picture. But that's why we're definitely hitting harder on dual enrollment, so that it's not just me saying it. Um, I think that may have been part of it with my daughter. I don't know. If she does well on tests, like last semester in pre-calc, she did well. This semester in her statistics class, she's doing well, but on tests, but I don't know. It was just not a great experience. And we're keeping in mind that if we have to redo them for some reason, that we'll probably invest in some private classes because whatever we invested would likely pay off in scholarships and such. But yeah, I would like to not not have to go through all of that. Um, so yeah, I don't. College has been a whole it's been a whole nother like um, ball of wax. Is that the phrase? Ball of wax. Um, and figuring out how to navigate it all. I think it's I've talked about this before. Like one of the reasons I started this channel was so that I could kind of come before some of you. And so that's what I absolutely plan to do in this next year as we go through more of the college process and the selection and application and all of that, because I know um, it's a lot, and knowing what just knowing, watching someone else go through it can be so helpful. So we will be doing that. Claudia, I do not see the link to your to the video. Did you drop it? I want to make sure I didn't miss it because I can't once I close this, the video, I can't get the links anymore. So if you haven't already done it, drop it down there, or when the video is done, you can put it directly into the comments there instead of the live chat, or message me over on Facebook or Instagram with it. I would love to share it. And so, excellent, Claudia. Is the video on your channel? If so, I'll just grab it from there. But if you want to drop your channel link directly, even, go ahead, feel free. The more the merrier. So, all of that to say, we got off on a nice side tangent, and I enjoyed it. If you are starting to plan ahead, make sure you check out the links down there. And then, like I said, Saturday's video is going to be about that pre-planning process, and so will next week's video, hopefully on Tuesday. I have been struggling to get out the videos on time on Tuesday, so in theory it'll be out on Tuesday. We'll be around the same topic, so definitely check those out. Oh, it wasn't to me. Sorry, I read our family videos and I thought you were talking about your channel. Claudia, sorry. So if anyone else has any questions about preparing for next year or just general chit-chat questions, you obviously know I love to sit here and chat with you. So I'm happy to keep chatting. I don't know. Is that for preparing for the SAT? One we use, or my daughter, I always say things like, how do we do on the test? I'm like, I'm not taking her test. I don't know why I keep using that pronoun, but I don't think I know that one. She used like the official one. It was like this giant, ridiculous thing. And I don't know. ACT, I was so disappointed for her because I know how much work she put into preparing for it. And yeah, it wasn't fantastic, but I think I think that there's value no matter what in taking the SAT or ACT, but know that if your kiddo doesn't score well, that there are lots of schools that are not focusing on them right now, at least, and hopefully we'll be moving more away from it kind of in the future. I think, of course, there's value in my watch is going off. In those as part of your college application. But I think for so many kiddos, like, who wants to miss going to the college that they can do the work for otherwise, but miss out on it because they don't test well on standardized testing? Yeah, it's a hard thing. I test easily for standardized tests. So it's hard to know how to help well on that. Just like, hey, Ben, or whoever just came up the stairs, did you get the door shut well? Didn't sound like it. Our front door doesn't always shut very well, and with the high winds, I don't know if you guys can hear the wind. I'm afraid of being open, the cat's getting out through. Anyway, if there are no more comments, I will go ahead and end it. But if anyone else has anything else to say, I'd love to sit here and chit chat. Let me put back up what we're going to talk about next week. Let's see, next week, some easy ideas for some spring fun in your homeschool. None of these will be difficult or time consuming or anything, because I'm not going to suggest things that I wouldn't be able to follow through on anyway. And then the following week, kitchen springy recipes. And for that week, I would love if you have a favorite spring, summer recipe. I'd love for you to bring the link and share. I'm always looking for new recipes. You guys know that. So otherwise, doesn't look like there's any more comments. We'll end this here. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye.